All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me this week. I'm really excited to be working our way along in Module 2, Session 2. We've gone through Module 1 and gone through a lot of great information from what is a business, how do I run a business, is my business a job or a business? Now we're moving into some real important business things. So, talk to you a lot about it. So, today's about what are KPIs and why do they matter? Today, I'm your host, Shawn Patrick Moloney. I'm doing this in partnership with the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce to make sure that the local businesses, as well as all the YouTube fans out there, are getting great business structuring of how to actually build a business. So, I'm the broker over here at Momentum Realty. We're a local brokerage that services Massachusetts and Rhode Island. I also am the owner of a consulting company named Thoth Company. We take care of business startup turnarounds, profitability studies, exit strategies, and a few other different categories. And I also am a podcast host for two different podcasts, one homeownership and the other one real facts on real estate. You got my handles on the bottom. If you could do so, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate that. And if you want to get notified on these, make sure to turn on subscription or to go over to thoughtcompany.com and sign up right there for the newsletter. All right, so let's get started today. What does KPI mean? So, what does KPI mean? KPI is actually an acronym. It is key point indicators or key performance indicators. So, they are a measure of a business's performance. They're a point where you get to see how your business is doing. It's basically like a healthiness measure of your business. You're able to see that right there live, and you're able to take it and get basically some idea of what's going on in your business. So, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that it's made by sales, it might be employees, it might be hiring, but some number that has a drastic effect on your business. We'll come back to it as we work our way along here. All right. So, here we go. So, what makes a key KPI effective? So, again, key performance indicator, key point indicator. What makes it effective? KPIs allow you to gain a fundamental understanding for what your business truly does. So every business does something, but not every business understands what they do. Lots of businesses go in there thinking they do one thing, only to realize they do another. Similar to how businesses like McDonald's are in the real estate game, even though people think they're in the hamburger game. When they're paying attention to their key point indicators or key performance indicators, they're getting effective measures on how their business is doing in the places that matter. So for me, for a real estate brokerage, one of my key performance indicators would be the idea of how many agents work for me. How many agents do I have? Because the more agents I have, the more sales that I'm going to grow as a business. And then when I take and I look at agents and I want to see how many agents I need, what key performance indicators should I look at? I should look at the average number of sales per year per agent and then say, okay, if I get $1.2 million per year per agent and I want to do 100 million, then I need somewhere along the lines of 80 to 90 agents to make that happen. Knowing those measures helps us understand what matters in our business. So as they change, we change. We'll talk a little bit more of that coming up. Next up, how do you define KPIs? Like how should they be put together? What makes a KPI? So it can be tricky, but here's some hints to think about. What is your desired outcome? Like, what do you go to business every day to do? And I know everyone's desired outcome is to make money, but more in the level of like sell more homes, list more homes, sell more of a certain product, whatever it be. What is your desired outcome? Why does the outcome matter? So what's the purpose? So for me, we just said watching how much sales per agent, what's my desired outcome, so I can be watching over it. Why does that outcome matter? Because it tells me how many agents I need to make my goal. How are you going to measure this progress? By measuring the number of agents. How can you influence the outcome? I can train them more often and better. Who is responsible for the business outcome? Well, then it'll be myself and it'll be my staff, making sure they get everything proper and also that we're hiring proper. How will you know when it's achieved your outcome? We're going to measure it. We have a system called Bitrix 24. It's our CRM system. So we measure it right within there, within the reports. And then how often we review the process that comes towards it. Well, typically things like this, we're actually working actively every day on it. So I'd say we mostly will monthly look at it with the object opinion or the outside opinion and think, okay, how are we doing? When do we change this? Personally, here we do team meetings twice a week, and we gather our thoughts and we just talk about where we are in projects. That way there, everybody's running on the same project in the same direction, and we're watching over key indicators. Next up, an example of a KPI. So this company is looking to increase their overall sales revenue. So the KPI's name is going to be sales growth. Obviously right there, guys, you're seeing this is not rocket science, right? So those who are looking at KPI and going, well, I don't even know what that means. It's a key point indicator or key performance indicator. It is just a number or an equation that matters to your business because it has an effect on the growth cycle of your business, okay? So next up, we have KPI defined, increase sales revenue by 20%. So notice that they didn't just say increase sales revenue. Far too often when you meet entrepreneurs, when they talk to you about their growth, they just have this not idea that exponential growth is just easy, but the idea that just, they should just want limitless growth. Not that limitless growth is not a bad thing, but it's an impossible thing to achieve at all times, right? We don't always have limitless growth. So we really want to hit target numbers. That way there we can see, are we headed towards our goal or are we just wasting time and we're not quite there yet? So we want to figure out that early in the game. That way there we understand it. Okay, so by no 20%, we have a measurable. If achievable, okay, achieving objective will create profitability. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to make this company go from not having profit to having profit. So we need to gain set 20%. How did they do that? They looked at their financials and figured it out. Progress will be tracked by an increase in revenue. So it's measurable, right? That's a very important part of it, right? Being able to take measure. So we have a measurement we're looking to achieve, and we have a measuring device that we can measure it with. So we're looking to track that revenue. How are we going to influence this happening? We're going to get growth through sales staff and promotion to increase repeat sales. So what we're going to do is we're going to grow our sales staff, which means outbound calls are going to be happening. We're going to continue on. So this is very similar to my goals, right? I'm looking to increase my agent count. So here we are, we're looking to increase, and how are we going to do it? And we're going to grow the sales staff, right? We're going to make more people work here. And we're also going to work with existing clients to promote repeat sales so that our existing agents have even more business. Tracking, sales team is to watch this metric. So for this company, these people happen to be employees. My people are not employees, so they don't have to watch that metric. We have to watch the metric. But knowing who is responsible for the metric is really the whole definition of what we're talking about here. What is a metric? A metric is just really a number or a piece of data, right? A single individual piece of data. So it's just a fancy word. There are a lot of fancy words in business, but the reality is you're just watching the amount of sales and seeing if it goes up or down and paying attention to the whys. So reviewing will be reviewed monthly. So paying attention to the whys, right? We don't want to just go, okay, well, sales are down. We want to really analyze and review at the highest level. Like we ran a new ad, it's in a different newspaper than usual. We got lesser results. All types of things like that need to be done in order to make sure what you're doing is efficient and effective. It's not just going because we can go, it's going in an effective and efficient manner to move forward and to grow your business. But KPIs overall, great way to pay attention to your business and great way to do a lot of things. So one of the things you want to make sure is that they are smart. So smart thinking, okay? We want to make sure that we are working with our brain and not just with our hands. In almost every single business, this is crucial. So what does SMART stand for? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So when we're looking at our goals, we're looking at our KPIs, we're looking at any of these things, it's really important that they are smart, right? That they are in a situation where they head in a direction that makes sense. Why? Because then it's easy to hold people accountable. It's easy to see where you're trying to head. It's easy to do a lot of the things that you're looking to get done. So specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So specific, we said 20% increase. Measurable, we said it's able to be measured by sales. Attainable, it's not 100% increase, it's a 20%. Relevant, they know that sales lead to more revenues, which leads to the ability to make profit. Time bound, they said they want to do it this year. So they put a time constraint on it. They didn't just go random. They put a time constraint to exactly when they expected that to happen. Hope this is all making sense to everybody. If anybody has any questions, throw them in the comments bar. Also, make sure if you haven't yet already done so, subscribe. Make sure you give this video a like. I appreciate you guys watching. Writing and developing KPIs. Okay, here we go. When writing and developing KPIs, they must be actionable, obtainable, under constant review, and shared with all financial decision makers. So actionable. We talked about that, right? We had specific, measurable, attainable. We need action, right? So we need a way that it's actually able to happen. So setting something where we couldn't make action on it now, it's not going to really help us whatsoever. So ultimately, we want to make sure they're actionable. The obtainable, we already said once, but making sure the goal is not like, let's 10 times increase our sales today. Not that I have any problem with it. If that is possible in your industry, awesome, cool, do it, hold the goal, and have it be real. But if you're putting your salespeople, you're putting your business people, you're putting your processes people, through the process of this, make sure it's there. So like say your KPI was, number of units manufactured per day. And right now you're putting out 10 out of your factory and you want to make it to 20. Well, if you're not planning on hiring people, hiring some new technology, getting some different tools, then your people, you're just literally trying to whip them towards a future. They're not going to be able to make that happen. Now, if you said, we just did a review, we find out we're inefficient, we just got a new piece of equipment, well, it may be obtainable, but just make sure that your goals, they are there, because it's important for your people not only to have big goals, but also micro goals, and to reach a lot of their goals so that they consistently feel like winners. Under constant review, we've talked a little bit about it, but just remember, you always want to be paying attention to, is it working? What's going on with it? How do I make this specific goal, this key point indicator, this key performance indicator, how do I make it more fine-tuned to my business? And then shared with all financial decision makers, because these KPIs are important to them when they're buying product, when they're figuring out, should we order this new piece of machinery, when they're figuring out, should we pay this new ad? These are the things that are going to tell them yes or no. We're looking at the cost of a customer acquisition report. We're looking at all these different reports. They are run by key point indicators. All right, so next up, KPIs and staff. I think this is a really important slide. I think that this is going to teach you a lot about it. And I think it's important to keep in mind what this says. So it can lead to better engagement. So your employees, when they know what they're working towards, will engage better. Goals lead to the feeling of success. So by setting goals, not just big goals, but also small step-by-step goals, and allowing people to feel success, you're going to grow your staff both physically and emotionally. They are going to become stronger, and they're going to become better because they trust that they're willing to spread their wings because they've felt success. If your business constantly makes people feel failure, feel failure, you got to remember that you're going to tire them. You're going to wear them out. They're going to move to a system that helps them find success. So knowing how to get your KPIs in order to help your people understand why the goal, how everyone takes part in the goal, and connecting the entire web of employees, it's going to help everyone at your business better understand your processes and understand what they're doing. They don't have to go and figure out what the other department does. They know where they are. They're not just a cog to the wheel. They are a big part of the process. And having them understand that can lead to better communications between departments and better collaboration overall. And then when you work with KPIs and you work with staff, when you hit certain KPIs, it's a great place to set bonuses and reward structures. Not saying you have to have them, not saying bonuses are a must, not saying reward structures are a must, but what I'm saying is this is a great place to set those in, because when you set rewards based on success and people reach success and hit rewards, you're going to see a circle that makes people really enjoy working with you. They're going to keep working towards that success. They're going to enjoy their bonuses. They're going to be happy. They're going to continue to move forward. Not every company does bonuses, of course, because obviously it's based on your financial and how it works. But even if it's just little games, even if it's just little attaboys, even if it's attributions, even if it's just a little badge for their profile, just that attaboy, let them know they did a good job. You're going to make a difference in a person's day. Because remember, they're all out there trying to do good for you as an employer. And if they're not, then they shouldn't be working for you. All right, data and KPIs. So it's incredibly important. It's actually crucial to keep your KPI data clean. Your staff must be able to gain business advantage from your KPIs. So, dirty in, dirty out, right? If you put in crap, you get out crap. So if your people are not filling out things, if your people are skipping processes, maybe when you get to a certain part of your process, you normally click a certain thing, but some people use delete instead of sending it in that way because they don't want bad stats on their name. You got to get out of, and you got to watch over anything that can happen like that, because if you have something in there that's making your data dirty and you're in a business where the data is small, if you're in the business of selling billions and zillions of a transaction, you're going to have a lot of data to clean itself up. But if you're in the business of something smaller where you're making thousands or millions per transaction, you're not going to have a lot of times that it happens. So only a few pieces of dirty data can actually mess up your whole entire KPIs. So making sure you have a system, making sure you have protocols, making sure that you have standards, and making sure that everybody who's entering that into the most sacred place, the final reports, knows what they're doing and audit them. Make sure that you're not having staff meetings about bad data, because there'll be nothing worse than to find out all you've been doing, all you've been changing is to do with Larry over in accounting who didn't care about how he put in his information. So sorry, Larry in accounting, I didn't mean to pick on you, but just keep in mind when you're putting in that stuff that it's really important to check it twice, just like Santa Claus. Okay, so for the final slide, I know a lot of people watching have watched this KPI video and they're saying to themselves, I love it, I get the point, but I don't know what the heck is a KPI even after watching this video. Wanted to throw down a whole list of some examples, but you really got to think about your own personal business and your own KPIs. You can type in KPI list, but again, this one here, a lot of other people's KPIs won't matter to you because it depends on what type of business you are actually in and what your business does. So here's some that we can go down. Cost. So we have costs, right? We have cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is like when you're a restaurant and you need to buy things like paper plates and all these things. Those are cost of goods sold, right? Days sales outstanding, right? So if you have a place where you bill and you have a 30-day pay or a 60-day pay or a 90-day pay, how long do the sales sit? Because remember, you might be borrowing money, so you might be paying interest. Sales by region. It's important if you got regional managers and things. LOB expense versus budget. So we're looking at expenses versus the actual budget. We're looking at how did it work out. Customer lifetime value. So how much does the person spend across their entire time with us? Customer acquisition cost. When we run marketing, how much does it cost for us to acquire that customer? CLV versus CAC, which is lifetime value versus acquisition cost. So we acquire a customer, it costs us $20 to do so. They spend $100, that's a 5-to-1 ratio. We are in a really good situation. If it's in the inverse, we're in a bad situation. Customer satisfaction and retention. How many people are telling us that we are no good? Or if say we're a gym or something, how many members quit a month? What percentage is that? So that we know we need so many new signups to offset so many off signs, because otherwise we will have attrition at too high of a rate. So paying attention to that. Average annual expense per customer. So when we're working with people, how much does it cost to work with them? Does it cost us money to maintain them? Are we holding records? Are we paying money for things? How do we maintain them? Next up, we have number of customers. What does that have to do with what? Who knows? It could be the sales numbers. It could be repeat customers as far as a gym, but number of customers. Customer support tickets. How much money do we need to spend on IT support? Do we have a lot of support tickets for phone support? Building out the team based on that, but also learning why are we getting these calls and how can we narrow them down? Well, we certainly could add something to the website that says, if you are wondering about, here is our FAQ section. So FAQ section takes down customer support tickets. Percentage of product defects. If we're manufacturing, how often when we get our shipment in from wherever we're getting it, do they have broken or defective product that we can't sell? What percentages of it? Do we need to change suppliers? Because say you're outsourcing and your supplier sends you 100 broken out of 1,000, that's a 10% damage. Your competitor charged 5% more. You thought you saved 5% by ordering, but you have a 10% defective rate. So you actually lose 5% by buying from the less expensive provider. So these are why we watch these types of numbers, just giving examples when I can. Internal promotions versus external hires, like where is better? Like when we promote inside the business, how does the employee do versus when we hire externally? Is it more expensive? Which direction? Which one do we get better results out of? Employee turnover rate, how fast did people leave here? Because that tells us how many employees we need to hire just to make sure we maintain the same staff level or more. Percentage of response to open positions. So when we're putting out jobs, are people responding or are they not responding? And how many places do we need to put them? And then employee satisfaction. How do the employees feel that work for you? That's very important for certain businesses, especially businesses where you need the employee versus them needing you. When you are in a business where you are hiring professionals to do work for you, maybe you need to make sure you have a better service to them because say you own a hair salon and everybody in town raves about the one hand salon person that rents a booth from you. Well, you might want to make sure you maintain that booth because if they leave, so doesn't their clients, so doesn't all the offshoots of their clients. Same thing goes for lots of different businesses. If you have key waitresses, wait staff, if you have key bartenders, if you have people that people seek out to come to them, maybe you run a hunting and fishing store and you got a gun expert, you want to make sure that employee is satisfied because if you don't, you lose them. It can actually hurt your business quite bad. So paying attention to those key point indicators is going to be a great way to keep your business alive. Guys, I hope you learned a lot from this one. I really try to jam pack these things with actionable learning steps, try to give you more examples of how to do it. We went over what is a business? Do you have a job or a business? Do you understand delegating tasks? Are you ready to hire? What's a marketing plan? Now we know what KPIs are. I'm really excited, guys, to get into why we need goals and what's a business plan coming up, because then we can really start crushing it. We can get into the great awakening. We can start opening our eyes to business and we'll really grow your business. If you need help, please reach out. I would love to help you. Through my consulting company, Thought Company, we can set up a preliminary meeting. We can go over all the information. I give you a free consultation just to start, and then we can get moving on it. I think this is the year for you. 2021 is going to be a big year. I can already tell you understand the need to pay attention to this stuff because you're already attending these classes. It's time to just take it to that next level. If you're looking to get a hold of me, there's the different ways to get a hold of me and all my different socials. I really mostly work under Movementum Realty and my personal brand, Shawn Patrick Moloney and Thought Company. But I do also work on some other things. Feel free to reach out about that. Podcasts are both right here. Real Facts on Real Estate. Real Facts on Real Estate was built for real estate agents and professionals to understand and grow their earning potential. Home ownership was built for home buyers, sellers, and owners to just have a better understanding of the entire process of buying, selling, and owning a house and finding success in real estate. Again, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you want to reach out to me, here's the different contacts for my websites. On each and every one of them, you're going to find all my contact information. If you jump on thoughtcompany.com, that's where you can sign up for the newsletter about this exact training to make sure that you don't miss anything. Thank you so much and have a great afternoon.